Hey guys, what's up? Thanks to everybody for coming today. I haven't done one of these in a while. A Q&A sort of situation. Oh, I hear myself. Where do I hear myself coming from? You'd think I'd know how to do this by now. There we go. All right, I'm gonna give this a couple more minutes just to let some people show up. Although we got a good crowd. We got Riley63. We got Miles, Kevin Barron. Hey Miles. We got the Sleeping Warrior, Francois One Man Band, Lori Galliano, Jason Meinhardt, Raymond B. Crisp, Jamie Barron, Scott Taylor, Michelle K. Williams, Paul Wooster, Acoustic, the Sleeping Warrior, Christian Carlone. What's up, Christian? John Schultz, your moderator for the day. Thank you for moderating today, John. I don't know if you were working or not. Redro Dazdeen, Ron Simmons, Vivian Howlett, Digital Shaman, Tom O'Hanlon. What's up, Tom? Jolly Roger, John McCartney, William Bryan, Scott Bannister, Yu Sing Lee. All right, what time is it? Okay, we're just about to get started. I have like 9 pages of questions that people asked ahead of time, and I'll try my best to like read these as I'm as they go because there's a lot here. Let's see, can I shrink this? No, I can't. Oh, what's up, Mark Schulte? How you doing? Hello, Jack Larson, Bob O'Connell, Tony Bartley, Steve Wilkinson, Skunk Bear, Wayne Burba, Fernando Veraza, David Green, Henning, Joe Georgiana, Andy Marr. All right, what time is it? All right, it's 4 o'clock. I'll answer Joe's question first. Yeah, that was a boo-boo on my part. I sent Albert the track, and I think I forgot to send him the lyrics, like just assuming, oh, you'll be able to hear it. But the lyrics are kind of strange in that part. So that is a true story from Albert, and yes, he sang Saturn Man instead of Saturn Man. But you really can't hear the difference. It's such a similar sounding word that it works. Um, he did tell me to change the lyrics, but at that point we recorded everything else. Also, they're John Shirley's lyrics in "That Was Me," and we didn't mess with them. They were pretty much what he wrote. Hello, Emma. How you doing? Um, okay, so I think I'll try to go back and forth between the live questions. Okay. Oh, here we go. Good questions here. Uh, Lyrically, what outside influences had a part in the songwriting? That's from Ron Strach. I'm sorry if I'm or Streck. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Uh, Lyrically, what outside influences, if any, had a part in the songwriting? Thank you and much continued success. Thank you, Ron. A lot of different things. Uh, it depends on what song it is because each song has a different story to it. Each song has a different set of circumstances and inspiration that makes you write it. And I think I'm going to get into this a little later too. But like for example, a song like "The Machine," I wrote that about my addiction to technology, uh, and it's like a love song about my phone. And that was it was just me writing something about myself with the machine, and then like for the Alchemist, that's straight off of an H.P. Lovecraft short story of the same name, and so each song has a different inspiration. It can be internal like the machine, or external like the Alchemist. So thank you for that question. Andy Marr, why don't I wear glasses on stage? Because they keep falling off my face. Seriously, like if you move around a little bit and you nod your head, it's like they fall off my face. So I just basically got used to not wearing them on stage. It was too much of a pain in the butt. All right. Scott Rogers asks, did the band record any songs that weren't used on the album? No, we used everything we recorded. There were, oh, hey, Leon, what's up? Leon's on a break. Everybody say hi to Leon. Strike is the pronunciation. Thank you, Ron Strike. Okay, I got you, Ron. No, I don't believe we did. I think we used everything we recorded. Thank you, Scott, for that. Gordon Wilkie, Richie, love the new album. It rocks. When do you think the songs will hit the live set lists? I don't know the answer to that question. I know that we need to rehearse because so the songs as we rehearse them have sort of evolved in the overdub process, whereas we had the basic tracks rehearsed, and then with me and Don and Eric and everybody else like adding background vocals and putting parts on and solos and keyboard parts, the songs are different. So we actually have to, not that we don't know the songs, we have to relearn the songs with the new versions of them and figure out how to cover all that stuff in a live setting. So I'm actually looking forward to that, to just getting with the guys and trying to tackle some of this stuff because it's going to be tricky. Let's see. David Hardman says, how did me and Boc go about dividing the guitar parts? So, there was a lot of jamming when we first learned the songs, and we kind of came up with our own parts. And then, and so it just sort of evolved from just playing, and it would shape the way the song would go too, if that makes sense. Because we rehearsed these songs extensively. We did a lot of rehearsal. We posted pictures from the rehearsals too, if you guys remember. But you just sort of fall into the groove of what you're playing, and then later on down the line, you say like I know there are things from playing with Boc that I know are Bocisms. You know what I mean? So I'll say like, oh, it would be really cool if you could do something like this, and I would cite an example. And or sort of like as a fanboy, just say, you know this thing you did in this song, could you do that here? Because I love when you do that. And then also on the other end of that, the opposite end of that, he would be like, hey, why don't you do one of these things that you do here? So we kind of kept in mind like what the other one does and would ask each other to contribute in ways like that. It was a lot of fun. And it was a lot of fun sort of like producing each other too. Like we did a lot, just like the way I'm talking to you now over webcam. Like I would record, I'd play guitar, and he would be at home in his studio remotely producing me while I played. So that was really cool. So that's how we would do it. It was very organic, or if we would sort of like carve out little spots for each other, So I hope that answers your question, David. Benich36 says different songs sound very different. Did you write the song on your own? Well, I guess that's songs on your own or together. Both. We did. There are songs we wrote on our own, and there are songs we wrote together. Like Eric and I wrote a bunch of songs together down here. So, and that was a great collaboration because I like doing anything with Eric. Eric's the man. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Joe Georgiana, was Andy Escalise on the ladder in Box in My Head video? No, he was not. In The Alchemist, this is from Yu Sing Lee, is a lot of Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden influence. I could see that. Yeah, I mean, I like Black Sabbath. I like Iron Maiden. Sure. So I guess the Iron Maiden thing that everybody's saying is the middle section as like Iron Maiden of The Alchemist. I could see that, and I love Iron Maiden, so it probably subconsciously came through. But I was thinking more Harvest Moon because the Harvest Moon has the double time middle section. So I was trying to do something like that, but also Boc told me we should figure out some fun guitar harmony stuff to do on this record. So I kind of made that my assignment to make this like a double time Harvest Moon middle section with trade-offs, but instead of it being just like, okay, you play, I play, you play, I play, just to have it be a little more orchestrated. That was the point behind that. Michelle K. Williams, which song was the most challenging to record musically or production-wise? That's a good question, Michelle. Well, musically, And production-wise, The Alchemist was tricky because it has like scene changes pretty much. Um, and you know, we worked very hard on the groove to Secret Road too. Like we really wanted to make sure that felt good. So that was tough, but I think we're all very happy with how it came out. But yeah, that was tricky from a groove perspective. From a production perspective, it was The Alchemist because it was getting the middle section to sound seamless with the rest of the song, and that took a little doing. Thank you, Michelle. Good question. Um, Steve Wilkinson, is it true that you had 8 song ideas of your own in 2017, as Eric said back then? No, I had 80. Okay, so when I joined the band in 2004, there were, so obviously, since I joined the band, we hadn't recorded anything. The band recorded their last album 2 years before I joined. So I really wanted to be able to contribute. And so whenever I heard a rumor, even, or rumblings that we might be recording, I would write music just to be prepared for it. And I'm not saying all of it was good. I just write music just to be ready for it in case it ever happened. And, so I'd write something. Okay, no, it's not going to happen. I put it in a folder somewhere on my computer. Oh, I heard a rumor. Okay, let me write something. All right, not going to happen. Put it in a folder on the computer. So I just had all these songs. And also I would just write songs as like an exercise to see if I can do it. Because to understand what kind of songs would work in this setting with this band was tricky. So I had a lot of songs. Maybe it's not 80, but I had a lot. And when it came time when we knew this was going to happen, I threw a bunch of the songs in like a Dropbox folder and sent it to the band. And Don and Eric went through the list and picked what they liked. So I had a lot. Yeah. Thank you, Steven. Okay. Leon. Oh, hi, Mike DeCampo. Everybody, it's my guitar teacher, Mike DeCampo. Leon, which song did you work the longest on from writing to final mix? The oldest song of mine on here is The Alchemist. That was written in 2015. So that's the answer to that question. Okay, Jeff Cook again. Oh, John McCartney says, how long did the album take to complete? It depends on if you talk about from writing to recording, like Leon just asked, then you could say 5 years. But I think when we got down to it, it took a year to make the album. Yeah, I think that's about right. Thank you, John. Jeff Cook, great job on The Alchemist. Thank you. Amazing song and video. What's the story behind the song? Okay, so The Alchemist was kind of like a writing assignment I gave to myself. And the writing assignment was to take elements of different things that I liked about Blue Oyster Cult songs and kind of synthesize them into one song. That was the idea. So I thought, okay, like what do I really like? What's something I like about BOC songs? And one thing that kind of stuck out to me was Alan's piano playing when he goes back and forth between like the kind of grandiose sounding, like almost like Liberace stuff, and then he goes to like honky tonk, like sort of like a Jerry Lee Lewis or like a Little Richard kind of thing. So I liked that, and I thought that was important, and I knew that I could do it, but I knew Andy Ascalise, my fellow band geek, was going to do it better than me, and also the other guys in the band all love Andy, so that was a no-brainer. We all wanted him to be involved, but I knew that, like, for example, the Flaming Telepath thing. We tried to really channel Alan there. So that was the first sort of element. Then there was the subject matter, which is tricky because a lot of these songs and the more classic ones are about odd things. So I knew that Sandy Pearlman was a fan of H.P. Lovecraft, so I said, you know what? For this song and the lyrics, let's try to come up with something kind of like that I guess Sandy Pearlman would write about. So I said, let me check out some H.P. Lovecraft. So I bought an H.P. Lovecraft book, and the first story in there was The Alchemist, and I was like, this is really cool. And not only does this have a good, subject matter, but it has a curse in there that rhymes. It's may ne'er a noble of thine murderous line survive to reach a greater age than thine. I said, there's your pre-chorus, you know what I mean? So it was like, I read that and I said, this is great. This is going to work out really well. It's short enough where I can encapsulate the whole story in a song. So I thought that was cool. And then, I tried to picture like a very snarling Eric singing it, and took all the, especially you think of things like I was thinking a lot of like Veteran of the Psychic Wars or Astronomy, the way Eric sings, So I was like, what's something that would be cool in Eric's voice? So I did that. We kind of imposed that on the song, and then, like I said, there's echo gags, which I love to do, and there's sort of like a little turnaround that I sort of borrowed from Screams. So that's in there. It's always little bits and pieces that I kind of that I liked from other Blue Oyster Cult songs that I've had to play, and I kind of put them in there just to make a new thing out of them. And then, of course, the middle section, which comes from Harvest Moon, where we go to double time thing, and we get to do a little duel, and the harmonies, which are sort of like stuff we do in Harvester of Eyes or Burning for You. So it's all that, and I just sort of put it into the blender, and that's what came out. And I played it for Eric, and he liked it, and I said, I really want you to sing this one. And Eric sang his ass off on that song. So that's and the story, the actual story behind the song of The Alchemist. It's about I don't want to spoil it. No spoilers. It's about a strange old sorcerer who lives outside of a castle, and the nobleman who rules the castle, his son, the prince, went missing one night, and they said, "Oh, it had to be this guy, the alchemist. He's up to no good. He's evil." So the nobleman, or the count, he came down to the alchemist's cottage and confronted him and killed him. But it turns out he didn't kidnap the son or anything. The son just happened to show up. He was just missing. And then the son of the alchemist, he casts a curse on the count, and he basically discovers the secret to eternal life and wastes his life by making sure this curse that he cast comes true. So it's a messed up story. It's really cool. I liked it a lot. If you can check it out, it'll take you like a half hour to read. It's The Alchemist by H.P. Lovecraft. It's really cool. So thank you for that, and I'm sorry I gave you the ridiculously long answer, Jeff Cook. Ansis Lasdy wants to know what were the expectations after finishing the album. I didn't know what to expect. I just knew that we were very proud of it, and whatever happens, happens. Yeah. Andy Mars says, "Do I wear I do not wear contacts. No, I just play in a blur." Asda says, 2020 is so awful. Did we consider re-recording Don't Feel the Reaper for The Symbol Remains? I don't think there was ever a discussion about that, but if there was, I was not part of it. Yu Sing Lee says, when I heard The Alchemist, I thought about Darth Sidious. That's awesome. Wayne Burba, in today's market of recording and you recording tracks at home, is it possible to do at home? Yeah, we finished this record at home, so it's very possible. Definitely, Let's see. Hey, Mike, what's up? Mike wants to know how BOC albums influenced what this album should sound like versus the new sound that invariably comes up with such a great lineup in the band presently. I threw a lot of little tricks in there and a lot of nods in my songs. I just knew I can't speak for what anybody else did for their tunes. I know for the tunes that I was part of, I just mentioned the Alchemist, but there's stuff like that too. Like in Saint Cecilia, the riff. That could be. It's kind of like a remix of that. So I was trying to go with that sort of thing. So a lot of all the songs have some BOC history in them because those were like the building blocks that I was working with. I felt like, if that makes sense. And even in the the chorus of or the bridge of Saint Cecilia, like all the rock and roll piano stuff, that's kind of like ME262, or in the Machine, I have the sort of like the reverb thing. It's that open G string thing. So I got that from that, and there's also some. I think I ripped off one lick from Reaper. So it's in everything. We took little bits and pieces of the past and tried to make it sound fresh, if that makes sense. Thank you, Mike. Okay, John Spo. Do I always simultaneously record DI for reamping purposes when making an album? Yes, I didn't in the studio because I was expecting to re-record all my parts. I wasn't expecting to use anything, but in fact, a lot of what I played in the studio ended up making it to the record, and it's all Helix direct. Christian says, in the Alchemist video, Eric's lightning from his hands and fingers, are they a tribute to Emperor Palpatine? I wasn't going to put that in there, but Eric told me, he goes, listen, I should be throwing lightning from my hands, and I was all about it. I was like, okay, let's do it. So Eric wanted to be sort of a caster of some stuff, so that's where it came from. But of course, if you wear a hood and you shoot lightning, you look like Palps. You look like the Senate. Sleeping Warrior. The videos are amazing. After Effects mostly. How do I find time for writing music, reviewing music tech gear? Do I ever sleep? Thank you, Sleeping Warrior. Yes, I sleep. Yeah, After Effects mostly, and I got to thank Leon Sanjanity for teaching me how to use After Effects to do this. He was very helpful. I actually, for the last 2 music gear reviews I did, I got my buddy Mark Rucci to edit them, so I was able to do the BOC things and keep doing YouTube videos. So that's how I did it. I have help. Benich, some songs have a Dharma vibe, other a Bloom, other a Castellano vibe. Did you write your own songs, or was it mostly a common process? A little bit of both. Some songs we'd write by ourselves, and some we'd write together, but we'd all sort of okay, so The Machine, for example, is a song I wrote by myself, but Eric and Boc really helped me work on it. Like, they rearranged it. We were, they were very supportive and helpful to me about any songs I brought in, and they worked on to make them a little more fitting for the band. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. William Bryan, did you guys have a specific tonal quality that you're going after? It sounds very open and natural. Wonderful album. Thank you very much. I think we were just trying to make it sound as good as we could. we were lucky enough to have Tom Lord Algae mix this, which was awesome, and I think he really contributed a lot to that sound. He was an amazing. He's like a legend. I watched YouTube videos of him before we even worked with him, so getting to do this with him was a real honor. But thank you, William. Tom Garrett, how does it feel to cement your part in the BOC legacy? That's a big question. I was not expecting to do as much on this album. I thought it would be really cool if I got to write one song. You know, I wasn't expecting this to happen, but I'm very grateful that they were very supportive of me and gave me the opportunity to do it. It's a huge honor, and yeah, I'm very grateful. Jane Douglas, were you a BOC fan before you joined the band? Before I joined the band, I was on the crew, so I was very familiar with all the material. Before I started working for the band, I knew the hits. That's about it. Emma, hi Emma. Do the melodies come before the lyrics, or the other way around? Everybody has their own process for this, and it's different for every song. Me, I tend to hear the I tend to hear like a phrase, like a lyrical phrase and music at the same time, and then I build off of that. Usually, unless there's like a riff that you start with, it could be anything. Or sometimes you have lyrics. This is really my first time writing songs with other people's lyrics, which I thought were cool. Like we wrote, Eric and I wrote "That Was Me" with John Shirley's lyrics, and I got it was awesome. I got to write Saint Cecilia with Richard Meltzer's lyrics, and I never did that before. I usually just it came at the same time pretty much. But when I looked at the page, and especially on Saint Cecilia, and I thought they were weird, but then I was like reading through it, and I kind of saw the music in them. You know what I mean? I saw Cecilia. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And how it was going to be a call and response thing. So that was a very cool experience. Thank you, Emma. Doug Dowdle, was Fight a demo Buck did years ago? Yes. Yes, it was. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you. I'm not. I got to check out that song again. I didn't even know it was a BOC Discord. That's awesome. Shows what I know. Okay, let's see. Tom, is there a chance of a follow-up in the not too distant future? No idea. But that would be cool, wouldn't it? Randy Knight, how did BOC find me? Their sound guy, Steve Lacera, was a friend of my family's, and he knew that I was studying audio in college, audio engineering and production. So they were jammed up for a replacement or a substitute sound guy for a weekend, and they didn't have their normal sub, so they asked me if I could do it. I was 20 years old. I happily did it, and I've been working for them ever since. So actually, my first BOC gig ever was in 2000. So I've been working for them for 20 years. It's pretty crazy. Half my life. Didn't BK Shyster says, didn't BOC back in the early 90s become the red and the black? I don't know about that. I'm not sure. It's before my time. Neil Chilton, do you think that being locked down and not allowed to tour and travel ended up giving you more time and focus to make a better album? Because it's truly a great album. Thank you very much, Neil. I think, as lousy as lockdown is, and I hate it, I think, yeah, it probably... it's a double-edged sword because, yes, it gave us more time to focus on it, but it also made it more complicated because it would have been easier if, for example, me and Buck could sit down here together and play instead of having to do it with a lag over the internet. So um, there's pros and cons to that. The Sagittarius, did I do all the mixing myself? No. That was Tom Lord Algie did all the mixing, and he is a legendary mixer. He is a Grammy award-winning mixer, and if you go to allmusic.com and check out his credits, you will be very impressed. Drew Stompanato just tuned in. My question is, did you guys have any idea how well the new record would sell? No. There's no way to know these things, so no. No idea. Tony Bartley, who played the Dwayne Eddy bits? That is total Boc. Derek Spence, what is my favorite song to play or sing on? I loved singing Tainted Blood, especially because when I was singing the vocal, I had Boc on the video chat producing me. So it was almost like I was in the booth and he was in the control room, and he was really fine-tuning the way I sang it, and I think I'm very happy with the results. So my favorite song to sing was probably Tainted Blood. To play on, I mean, there's a nice little lead break at the end, so that was fun too. You know, so yeah, probably Tainted Blood. John Spo, I hear a little Dream Theater in the Alchemist too. Maybe. I mean, I like Dream Theater, so if you like stuff, it kind of seeps in. It could be. Mike Stoner says we'll have to wait another 19 years. I think I answered that already. Marty Brilly, what songs is the best shot being played live? Again, we got to rehearse first and see what sounds the best, you know? Greg Jenny, Richie, it seems like the songs on the album give a stylistic nod to different eras in BOC history. Am I hearing things, or is it coincidental? Well, I think what I know I'm reading these on a delay because I'm answering every question, and then you might be asking them before I answer them. But yeah, I think like what I said before is trying to take, like, I can speak for myself. I don't know what the other guys did, but you know, just trying to take little cues, familiar cues, and using them as building blocks to play with in these songs. I think that contributes to that. I think so. Loaded question. What years are my favorite Sabbath? Okay, so obviously the Ozzy Sabbath is legendary, but being such a huge Dio fan, I'm going to go with the Dio Sabbath. I know that's blasphemy. I'm sorry. All right, let's see. Stephen Wilkinson says, which of my songs did I write first and when? The first one I wrote for this, there are songs I wrote for this that didn't make it on here, but the ones that I did write, the ones that did make it on here, The Alchemist is the oldest. That's 2015. Thank you, Stephen. David Steichleather, y'all nailed the groove on Secret Road in Florida Man. Did your dad sing background on more than Florida Man? No. We were doing the background vocals to Florida Man, and we did them the same way. And I want to talk about the background vocals really quick because Boc is a wizard with that. Like, he is very particular about the phrasing, you know, how long you do it, how much vibrato, all this stuff. And we did that the same way. I was here on a mic with headphones, and he was in his studio, almost like a, you know, control room, live room sort of situation, and he was very particular about them. But when you're very particular about them, you get them to match better. They have a more, you know, chorused effect, and it just has a great big sound. But while we were working on Florida Man, he goes, you know what this song needs is a bass singer. And I said, well, I happen to know a great bass singer, and because my dad's got a very deep voice. So it was great, and my dad was happy to do it. He was thrilled to do it, actually, and Boc was very happy with the result, so it was very cool. But that is the only one my dad sings on. Sean Magpok, he's asking about Nightmare Epiphany and Secret Road. I think that's a Boc question. Um, Ron Kubiak, there's lots of stun guitar in there. It's mixed in, but it's in there. I think the loudest stun guitar is on Stand and Fight, but we all played on everything, and we handed the files to Tom to mix, and he balanced them how he saw fit, and I think he did a phenomenal job. Let's see. Next question. Let me answer a previous question because I'm not giving the people who can't be here today any love. So let me give them some love. Okay. First question from previous people who couldn't be here today. Gary Ireton, will there be new merch, and can we get the cool necklace that Boc is wearing? My sister sent me a text message where they're making the cloth masks with the album cover on it. So I guess there is merch. I'm not involved with that. And I don't know about Boc's necklace. I'm sure if you look hard enough, you can find one. C. Clark or Cy Clark, I'm sorry. What songs are you most looking forward to playing live off the album, and what's the ultimate favorite song? Well, again, live, I mean, you know what song I'm really digging is Florida Man. Like, I would love to play that live. I just think that came out really good. That would be a fun song to play live. And my favorite BOC song of all time, it's a toss-up between Burning For You or Veteran of the Psychic Wars. Those are my favorites. I like that era. I'm a fan of that era. Okay, so let me answer some live questions. Benich36, what is my favorite song on the album? I don't want to pick one of the ones I wrote because that's not fair. So I think out of the ones that aren't mine, I think I'm going to go with Florida Man. I just think that came out really good. I think the concept is amazing. I think the execution is great. I think, Boc sang it great. I love the guitar work on it. It's just, it's a fun song. Tom O'Hanlon, we need your solo album. Thank you, Tom. I'm working on it. Your guitar sounded great. Thank you. Was mine all Helix? Yeah, my guitars and Eric's guitars were all Helix. Yeah, we'd either the Helix Native or Helix Rack. Jason Meinhardt, what compromises or production changes cropped up by not being able to go through traditional collaboration during post-production? Well, like I said before, it would have been nice to sit in a room with Boc and play off each other, but we kind of got around that. But that was challenging. That was the challenge that cropped up. It would have been nice for me and him to be able to be in a room together, but we did the best we could with technology, and I think the technology worked really well. I think it was good. Jeff McLeod, what is the story behind St. Cecilia? How long did the drums take for Train True? Thank you, Jeff. We were talking about lyrics when making this because, you want the BOC lyrics. They have to. You can't just write like a "Ooh Baby I Love You" song with Blue Oyster Cult. It just doesn't work. So we're all trying to think of interesting things to write about. And our manager, Steve, reached out to Richard Meltzer and says, yeah, you got anything? And he goes, yeah, I got a couple songs. And one of the songs I saw was The Return of St. Cecilia. And when I looked at it, and I kind of, as I'm reading it, I kind of got like a groove in my head. And I was thinking like, I really want to do a song that's stylistically in the vein of Dominance and Submission, or Seven Screaming Dizbusters, like that kind of like that kind of fast driving kind of thing. So I figured, well, that would be cool if I can write something like that with Richard Meltzer lyrics. Like that's a shoo-in. And I wanted Eric to sing it, but what happens a lot of the time when you're doing stuff like this is you record a demo for something and you fall in love with the demo and you get used to hearing it a certain way. So I ended up singing it, but originally I wrote it for Eric to sing it, and the guy's like, no, you should sing this one. So it was very, very cool of them to let me do that. But yeah, that story behind Saint Cecilia. It's just I was trying to get like an old, like kind of like an early BOC vibe from it, from the riff to the ME262 piano, like I mentioned earlier. And also like when a lot of things one of the things that Boc was really insistent on was that there was guitar dueling, like back and forth. Like he wanted there to be, two guitar players on this, which I was, thrilled to do, obviously, because you gotta understand something. Boc is a guitar hero. He has every right to play every lead on this record, but he was very, he really wanted this to have both of us, and I'm, obviously thrilled that happened. So that was very cool of him. But we talked about, like, in the chorus to Saint Cecilia, that we were going to go back and forth, and I said, I would love it if you could channel Seven Screaming Dizbusters, And he was like, oh, I think I know what you want. And then he sent me, like, there was the one thing he did, which was like, I was like, yes, thank you. So he was really, like, digging deep, going back into the catalog there to give me that sort of, that vibe, for lack of a better term. So that's the St. Cecilia story. The drums, we did the drums in, I think we did a few, we did like two lockouts. I think we did like 6 days. Is that right? I have to look. I can't remember. But, we did all the rhythm tracks, and I got to give props to Jules and Danny. The rhythm section stuff on this is blazing. They did a phenomenal job. We're very lucky to have such a great rhythm section, and it was a great foundation to build these tunes on. Yeah, so we worked pretty quick. What else we got here? Let me answer another previous question. Okay, Dennis Laughlin, I answered your Alchemist question already. Steve Boucher asked about new stuff in the set, which we talked about. Billy Prince says, is there a song that refers to trains? Yes, Train True. Okay, Tim Pitts has a question. He says, you made an awesome contribution to the album. Thank you very much. So happy you got to record with them. Me too. Any chance you could teach us the sweep arpeggio lick in The Alchemist? I know the first shape is G. Okay. This is a very tricky thing. Here's the sound. So what he's talking about is in The Alchemist, there's a thing. I might have gotten lucky being able to play this, So what's happening there is it's a G chord. Let me move my mic so you can see it. All right, let me do that correctly. I don't know if I can play it slow. So it's a regular G arpeggio, swept. It's 16. No, it depends on how you count it. It's like either eighth note triplets if you're counting it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, or it's 16th note triplets. Depends on how you're thinking about it. But it's triplets, and then it speeds up to 16ths to go back to the G, and it slides down to an F sharp. Same shape, just down a fret, and then it ends. It took me a few takes to get that one. So there you go. It's just a G arpeggio, then an F sharp arpeggio. Thank you for that. Who was that? Who has that question? Tim Pitts. Thank you, Tim. Okay. Let's see. We have some other questions here. Bill Hart Davidson, compared to how you've talked about writing your other albums, e.g. the Progressive Record, Pop collab with Andy, what elements, tonality, etc., guided the writing to make a BOC record? It was different because I was trying to navigate this history. You know what I mean? The only song that was sort of like a song I wrote for myself was The Machine, but that it was originally we were gonna have. I wrote that for Eric to sing. Well, I wrote it for me to sing, but then I was gonna. Here's the thing: it was in the Dropbox, and I put a bunch of tunes in there, and Boc really liked that song, so we were gonna do it. And at some point, he was gonna sing it, then Eric was gonna sing it, then I was gonna sing it. It just ended up with me singing it. It was toward the end when things were getting hectic. But yeah, the writing was just trying to do something that would fit in the legacy. I guess that's a good question. All right, let's see the next question here. I'm not Mike Stoner asked if I like the band Ghost. I'm not familiar with them. I need to check them out. But thank you for the recommendation. Sean Boskind, any chance some of the boys can come in and join your live stream show? Hey, were you did you come to this last live stream? Because Eric popped in, so that answers the question. Have we ever thought of using the organ sound of the Alchemist like a Uriah Heep sound? It's in there actually. It's kind of buried, but at the end, the last chorus, you know, it comes in there. Any 12 strings on the record? Yes. Yes, I think Secret Road has 12 string. I think it's Secret Road. Yeah, one of them definitely there's definitely 12 string on the record. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but one of them has it, and Boc played it. Yes. Thank you, Ernie. Hi, Ernie. All right, let me catch up here a little bit. Leon, did we go into writing the songs with the idea that each song would relate to an older BOC song? No, not really. I think it was just being conscious of trying to fit within the parameters. You know what I mean? Partev says, "Can I play the Alchemist in the video?" You probably could, man. Tony O'Rourke, has the response exceeded your expectations? I'm blown away by the response. It's amazing. It's very cool. I didn't know what to expect, and it's fantastic. Thank you for that. Let's see what else we got. Tom Littleton, whose idea was it to bring Albert into the video? I think that was our manager's idea. I'm looking for the next question here. Jamil, was there any songs on the album that you would view as somewhat different from the direction of traditional BOC musically, themes, and lyrics? Maybe The Machine a little bit. But again, that was one of the ones that Boc really liked, and we worked it up, and it's a fun song to play, and I think it came out great. And also, like, there's the BOC cues in there that I talked about, putting like the little guitar licks in there. So I think it came out good. Yo, what's up, Andy Graziano? Samuel Breen, what's the direct inspiration for Tainted Blood? Okay, so Eric came up with the idea for this song. Eric came up with the whole concept of this, and he said, he explained to me about a vampire who is heartbroken and can't die. So Eric had he had the pre-chorus all done, and he and I kind of like expanded the song from the middle, and we grew it out that way. Let's see Scott Taylor says what amps were used recording by me and Buck. Me and Eric used the Helix, and Buck used the Kemper, and he used the Fractal, I believe. Are all the songs in D minor because we know it's the saddest of all keys? No, I think what's in D minor. I think Stand and Fight's in D minor. Colin Stewart, what was the spark to do a new album, or did I just nag them? Well, I think Buck and Eric have covered this in interviews before. It was just getting the right label, and Frontiers was awesome. What was the best sandwich I had while recording this album? David Bamundo. It is it's my normal sandwich, which is a turkey, mozzarella, avocado, mayo on a wrap. That's it. That's the greatest. Oh, Joe Georgiana got the acoustic. That was me. Cool, man. Cool. Oh, thank you, Miles. Let's see. Steve Wilkinson, what's my favorite existing VO song to play live at a concert? I like playing "Burning for You." I just think it's nice to see everybody light up when they hear that song. Obviously, "Last Days of May" is fun because I get to stretch a bit, and I also like playing "Dominance and Submission." Oh, Tom O'Hanlon, how many guitars did I use in the studio? All of them. I used I used I used almost everything. I used the Federa quite a bit, especially on all the higher gain things, the more high gain sounding solos. I used the Axis. I used the Steve Morse. I ended up using the Telecaster a lot. There's a lot of Tele on this. There's a lot of Strat parts, and there's a lot of Les Paul. I used everything. Mike Stone, did I buy any new guitar gear to use on the album? Did I buy any new gear? No, but I did use some new mic preamps on the album. I used the Audio Technica AT4047 MP. That was the mic I used, so that's a new thing I got for the record. It's actually a loaner, and I used an API preamp. That's what I used. Yeah, Buck used Steinberger, Kiesel. His Atelli that he used. He used the Kemper and the Fractal, and the one thing he used to like really awesome effect was in the solo to Tainted Blood. I think he's using a Digitech Freakout pedal, and he got some really amazing tones out of that thing. He came up with some really creative stuff for that. I was very impressed. What movie? David Cycler. What movie is in Tainted Blood video? It's the Playgirls and the Vampire, which is a public domain movie that sort of has a similar story to Tainted Blood. Christian, yes, Eric is Palpatine in the video. Correct. Okay, Bob Casella. The first couple times I saw you play with the band, Alan was still on keys and I was on bass. I was very impressed with your bass playing. Thank you very much. Of course, your 6-string talent is great. Also, do you have a preferred instrument? I prefer guitar. It's just I've been playing it the longest, but I enjoy playing bass a lot too. Jim Crouch, I saw evidence of Mr. Shank in your home studio very often. How was he to work with? How many pies did he provide? um, yeah, me and Steve busted our butts. We worked very hard to get all this stuff done. Um, and he has an incredible work ethic. He works harder than anybody I've ever met. Seriously. And we just got it done. You know, it's all there is to it. Sometimes you gotta just get it done. That's it. Christian Carloni, what's the story behind Edge of the World? It's my favorite in the album. Thank you so much, Christian. Edge of the World is one I wrote for Eric to sing, and I just sort of I tried I it's about wanting to belong to something. That's what I think the song is about for me. It's just about, like, you know, and also the internet. You know, it's like the internet really makes it's very easy to find people with common interests on the internet. So it's kind of like a commentary on that, I guess. But um, we worked up the middle section together in the studio. Like, we came up with that as a band, which was cool. And yeah, and the thing that I was sort of insistent on with that was that the vocals had to sound huge, right? Like, they had to be like a blanket of vocals. So when you think about and this again goes back to elements of classic BOC, right? So when you think about songs throughout the history of rock music, right? Not just BOC, the history of rock music. What songs have that kind of, like, blanket of vocals that just, wraps around you when you hear it? And to a lot of people, that song is Don't Fear the Reaper, right? And obviously, Buck's vocals are great, but one of the secret weapons to that song is David Lucas. And when I think Eric recommended getting David Lucas to sing, I said, oh my God, wouldn't David Lucas sound so good on Edge of the World? Because I want that, blanket of sound thing happening. So when David added his voice to Edge of the World, it just rounded the whole thing out. And all of a sudden it was like, ah. And then, of course, Tom really brought it, mixing it. Like, he heard the demo, or the rough mix, and he got it. He just knew what we were going for. So that's like, David is the secret weapon of Edge of the World, I think. Tony O'Rourke, will Eric or Buck make an appearance on the upcoming solo album? Maybe. Brian Petty, any other Helix users in the band? Yeah, me and Eric are the Helix users. I think we might have. No, I think it's just me and Eric. Unlimited power. Very good. Joey Sawdust. Box. There you go. Miles Kevin Barron wants to know who mastered the album. It was Ted Jensen at Sterling Sound, another superstar in the audio industry. Magic Darkstar, any plans to make more albums? I know my album is almost recorded, so I'm going to be doing a solo album next. Thank you, Jamie Barron. Favorite mics and pre's for this album? I just answered that question, Paul. It was but I know I'm reading this all on a delay. It was the Audio Technica 4047 MP into either the I used a bunch of preamps. I used sometimes the API 512C. I sometimes would use the Vintech Neve clone. And I also would sometimes use the SSL Alpha channel. I also used a 4033 on some song. I think I sang Tainted Blood through a 4033. Pope Fret, I don't know who the other writers on Fight are. I'm sorry. Who did the chicken picking on Train True? I think it's mostly Buck, but I'm in there a little bit too. Zachary Baker wants to know the insight to how the rhythm section approaches the songwriting process on The Simple Remains. Rhythm section meaning bass and drums. I mean, yeah, like they had to basically come up with their parts. You know what I mean? And they came up with great parts. You have to ask them about that. Ansis has a question about Nightmare Epiphany, which Boc wrote, so you have to ask him. Sorry. Todd Brassfield, were any oh dog Christian, thank you very much, buddy. Thank you, I appreciate it. Let's see. Were any of the songs previously unreleased? Todd Brassfield, yeah, sure. Most of the songs were previously unreleased. Like I never put any of those songs out, and I know I don't think Jules put his tune out. And I know that there were I know that I think you're referring to some of the songs that Boc already put out, but yeah, the large majority of this album is previously unreleased. Did I find this album, Riley63, did you find this album influenced your upcoming solo project or vice versa? It's funny you say that because there's a song on my album that has a similar bit to The Alchemist, and I've been confusing them a lot lately because there's a similar thing in these two songs, and I'm having a little trouble keeping them straight. They're not the same. They're different. They're different enough. Let's put it that way. But they're similar styles. So it's there's this one part in The Alchemist which is very much like this one part in my song, and I have to like keep listening to both of them to tell the difference. So yes, the answer to that is yes, definitely. Let me answer another question from previous. Larry Anderson, did I get to use Eric's ESP Mirage that he gave me in the new album? I did not, but that's a wonderful guitar. Tom Clark asked a question about whose idea it was to record. I think I answered that. It was and that's the answer that that Boc and Eric give in interviews, which is they had to find the right relationship with the record company, and that's what all fell into place with this. Let's see. Paul Wooster asks about the live stuff, but I answered that already. Let's see. Greg McKeecher wants to know if we're going to make a video for every song on the album. That would be a lot. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. Anything could happen, but that would be a lot of work. I just made 4 of them, guys. Come on. Let's see. Oh, he has some more questions. Okay. What audio video software was used and on what equipment? Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so we were using a few different things. I record on Pro Tools, and Eric has Pro Tools, and Danny has Pro Tools. I think Jules uses Logic. Oh, thank you, Jim. Thank you very much. Jules uses Logic, but I don't think Jules had to do any overdubs or anything like that. So, and Boc uses Digital Performer. So that was a little tricky going back and forth between DAWs because the master session was on Pro Tools because that's what Tom Lord Alge uses to mix. So it was a little bit of a little tricky to get it all together, but we did it. We got it together. And for video software, it's Adobe stuff, Premiere, After Effects. Who thought up the things going on in the videos? So oh, thank you, Eric. Yeah. Okay, thank you. So Eric pointed out that the question about fight, it was yeah, okay. So thank you for that. Thank you, Eric. The songs that were previously released which are Fight, Nightmare Epiphany, and Secret Road, we totally re-recorded. No part of the original demo was used. They were re-recorded from scratch. So That's the answer to that question. Thank you, Eric. For the videos, I think that was in the Newsday article that they talked about this. We shot all 4 of them in front of a green screen, socially distanced. Everybody had masks on except for the performers, and we kind of had to figure out what we were going to do with the stuff later. So that was tricky, but it was mainly our manager and me figuring out what we could do with the footage. All right, let's see. J.H. Peters, is there a breakdown of who played what lead per song? Okay, let me see if I can figure this out. So, the first song on the album, let me refer to this for the track listing. The first song, that was me. We were, I was sitting down here with Eric, and we had the song up to the middle part. And then Eric said, we should do something really weird here. And he had the idea of going to like the sort of like halftime reggae section, which ended up being really cool. So he came up with that idea, and he said, Richie, play a solo here, but play something really messed up sounding. So I picked up a guitar, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, I just played this random weird thing, and it stayed on the demo. And then as we were listening to the demo, learning the song, tweaking it, bring it, and doing it in rehearsal, we all kind of got attached to the way the solo sounded on the demo. So, Boc said, "Why don't you just do this one?" So I ended up doing the solo in that one. Tainted Blood, the solo in the middle is Boc, and the solo on the fade out is me. Nightmare Epiphany, that's me and Boc trading at the end. Edge of the World. Edge of the World is one of my favorite Boc solos, I think, ever. Because when I track solos, I track them dry with no effects. He said, let me dial in a delay for this tracking. And I said, why do you need to have a delay when you're tracking? Just play it. We'll put delay on after. And he said, no, I think I'd like to play into it. So he put on like a rhythmic delay with the solo. And he started playing it. And then like at one point, he harmonized with himself while he was playing. It blew my mind. It's just I wasn't even thinking on that level. You know what I mean? So when he did that, and also I had to replicate that. I said, do you realize what you did in the middle of that solo? He goes, what? I said, you played into the harmony. You harmonized with yourself from a delay. Like, how are you even thinking about that? So like we had to figure out what the settings were on his delay because we didn't print the delay. And then we had to recreate the delay so we can make sure that effect was still there. So he's playing that he's playing that middle solo. We're both doing the main turn my thing off. We're doing that together in octaves. And then I put like sort of a bluesy kind of telly solo at the end of that, which is not really a solo, it's something like it's like kind of behind the lyric. Then let's see what happens next. The Machine, that's Boc on the solo. Train True, all that most of that leaf stuff is Boc. Saint Cecilia, again, Boc does the solo in the middle of the song. I do the outro solo. Stand and Fight, same deal. Boc's doing the main solo. I do the outro solo. Florida Man, that's all Boc. The Alchemist, you watch the video, that's who's playing what. Secret Road, Boc is doing the middle solo. I'm doing the outro solo. There's a Crimes, all Boc. I think the only thing the only lead stuff I did on that was the tappity tappity thing. And Fight is actually that's me playing a solo on Fight. I was honored to play that. Boc asked me to do a solo on that song, so that was really cool to get to do that. And he was producing me playing that, which it's awesome. So I hope that answered your question. And that was for J.H. Peters. Okay. Let me catch up with the live chat here. Steve Dupuis, have we performed any new songs yet? No. We got to get back to playing first. Okay, Alexis, did I mix the background vocals? They sound like a lot like a lot like the way they are on your solo songs. Um, like I said, Tom mixed everything, but we did pre-mix the balances. That was me and Boc pre-mixed the balance of the background vocals, but then it was up to Tom ultimately to, put them at the level that he thought they should be at. Was there any John Schultz? Was there any dominant submission hidden in Saint Cecilia? Oh yeah, definitely. It's in the same key. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of rhythmic feel, and also on Saint Cecilia, Eric played organ on Saint Cecilia, and there's a lot of that sort of similar style of, like a similar style to dominance and submission on Saint Cecilia. Let's see. I'm gonna skip ahead. Yeah, Jamil, all the credits in the album are correct. There's nothing that's been withheld. Charlie Moriaud says, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, bud. Do you think you'll expand on the guitar solo on The Alchemist like the one on Veterans? We got to try it first. Bill Burgess, how many videos are there for the new album? There are 4, and they're all up on YouTube. Jimmy Draculius, did I play all the guitar parts with Helix? Are there any real amps? No real amps, all Helix. Just for convenience and speed. I like the Helix, and also I think it sounds phenomenal. Let's see. Paul Wooster, can I tell you the background to the lyrics of Florida Man? That is a Boc question, but I believe that Boc had the idea for the concept, and he asked John Shirley to write the lyrics based on the concept. Nick Mullen, what is my favorite BOC record and what's my least? I won't answer the least because that's a negative question, but my favorite one is Fire of Unknown Origin. I'm a big Martin Birch fan. Let's see. You, Sengli, any John Castellano and Phil Castellano react to my bass collection video? I do plan on doing one. So there you go. How did Bill Siebold, how did David Lucas come to be involved? Eric invited him to sing on it, and he was game, and he sounded phenomenal. He did a great job. Hey, Medio Pollo, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. What songs did I have the most fun recording? I thought Tainted Blood was fun to record, but they were all fun. Fight was fun to record too, and but what was really fun was for me, like one of those like whoa moments was, like I said earlier, was watching Boc do the solo to Tainted Blood with the feedback thing, or watching him do the solo to Edge of the World with the delay thing. Like he plays into effects like nobody else. It's a really amazing thing to witness. Will I play any of the songs on a Sunday? Randy wants to know. I'm going to give it some time because I want everybody to, before I stink it up with my cover version, I want everybody to get used to this version. So let's listen to the record for a little bit before I start doing covers. Oh man, I'm really behind because I've answered a lot of these already. Paul DeBellis wants to know, was the interface I used? I use a Motu 1248. Peter Madston, we recorded drums. We recorded the whole band doing basic tracks at Mercy College in Dobbs Ferry with Sam Stoff and Steve Lucera engineering. So we went to a real studio to do it. David Stykeleather, how many time changes are in Train True, and name them? Oh boy, I'd have to go through the whole song. There's a few. Keith Walters, does Boc ever let me play the cheeseburger? Yes, he does. It's a very fun guitar to play. Okie Dokie TV asked me what my favorite track is overall. I don't want to pick one of mine, so I will say I really enjoy Florida Man. Let's answer another question from someone who couldn't be here. Okay, this is another question from TL Harris. Of the songs that were previously released, or more or less, Nightmare, Epiphany, Secret Road, and Fight, were they completely recorded? And this again, yes, completely recorded from the ground up. There's no element from the original demos. Completely new. This is the Blue Oyster Cult version of those songs. Kevin Allen Stapp, you're now documented as singing lead and playing lead guitar on a Blue Oyster Cult album. Having Boc take a step back so you can do this is what, surreal or inevitable? It's an honor, is what it is, because he doesn't need to. You know what I mean? Like Eric and Boc don't need to let me sing anything or play any solos, but they're just very gracious, and I'm honored to be able to do it. And yeah, it's really the only way to answer that question is it's a big honor for me to do it, and I'm very grateful that I got to do it. Okay, Gerard has a couple questions. What a, so he knows. Okay, when were the tracks that Eric and I did? Were they a team effort? When were they written? When and where? When were they written? Okay, I think we did the bulk of it. We wrote. We started working on That Was Me in 2017, and then we finished it in 2019. I think we did Stand and Fight was, I think, 2019 also. Eric had that song mostly done. I just kind of helped him finish it up a little bit, but that was like a pretty fully realized idea. He had the whole thing in his head, and he played it for me on guitar and told me the concept of it. So we just like worked on the demo and finished it up, and whatever missing lyrics there were, and a couple sections here or there. But yeah, that was mostly realized. Yeah, so that and Tainted Blood were 2019, I believe. Right before we started rehearsing, like when we got into gear. And let's see, gotta look at the CD again. Yeah, so that was me. We started working on 2017, finished in 2019. Yeah, Tainted Blood, and let's see, and Stand and Fight. Yeah, 2019. The other ones, my tunes. I did Saint Cecilia in 2019 when I got the lyric from Richard Meltzer. Um, Edge of the World was 2017. The Machine was 2017 also. Yep. So I hope that answers your question, Gerard. And I talked about the guitars already. Like, yeah, anytime you hear sort of like a low gain thing, I'm probably using the Telly. If it's high gain, I'm probably using the Federa. I used a lot of Les Paul in Saint Cecilia. All right. Tom O'Hanlon, when will my solo record be coming out? Thank you, Tom. The record's mostly recorded. It's the movie part of it that I have to make now. That's going to be the long thing. So I don't know, a couple years, hopefully. Manfred Granow. Since I first listened to Edge of the World, my imaginary ear hears a brass arrangement of this song. Were there any thoughts about something like this, or is it just my odd imagination? Um, I don't recall hearing any brass sections on BOC records, so I probably wouldn't have suggested that. But hey, if you want to make a brass arrangement, go for it, dude. Thank you. Paul Wooster says the vocals on the whole of the album sound immense. How did you get such a great sound on the album? Well, it's not all me. um, the background vocals, like I said before, Boc has he's very particular about how he does it and how they're phrased, and he was really on me when he was producing me singing of how I was singing them, and that's why they sound tight. And he was like that with everybody. Um, but especially Eric. Eric kicked ass on this record. He really did, and it's just hard work. We just worked at it, and Eric Eric got right to it, got right to work, and he busted his ass to make the sound as good as possible. And I think it was worth the work because I think Eric sounds phenomenal on it. And also when I recorded my vocals, I had the guys commenting on what I was singing and trying to help me sound as good as I could. So there was a lot of we were helping each other. We were producing each other. So I think that's what it is. Just the fact that we trusted each other and we'd listened to each other and we produced each other. It wasn't like there was at no point nobody said, "Well, I'm not going to listen to you." You know what I mean? Because I don't like this. Everybody was very thoughtful about what they said to each other, and we listened to each other. And I think the quality benefits from it. All right, I already answered that question from Nick. Friends Spillane has a great question. Two questions. Which song on the album do you think is the best, and why do you think it's Edge of the World? Thank you, Brent. Brett, thank you very much. I like I said, I like Florida Man. I out of the ones that obviously I love the way Eric sang uh, The Alchemist and Tainted Blood. I love those. I think Jules' song came out great. I'm very proud of everything we did on this. It's hard to pick a favorite. All right, let's see what else we got here. Dennis Gallo, when will Edge of the World or The Machine be released as singles? Do they even do that anymore? I don't even know. The Sleeping Warrior, were you guys ever tempted to bring back Susie Deer for this album? Um, it didn't occur to me, to be honest. Let's see. Try to get to the next questions. Will the Alchemist? David wants to know. David Hardman will the Alchemist be tricky to do live as it needs a keyboard player and a guitar player? No, because I wrote the songs that I wrote with the intention that we would maybe play them live. So really, it can be done. It can be done. That's without going into the specifics. It can be done. Mark Wilson, great job getting the album launched for 20 years and in lockdown. A question: what things inspired the new album, like events, bands, life, etc.? Well, I talked about what inspired The Alchemist. It's the H.P. Lovecraft story and, elements I liked from other BOC songs. And I talked about The Machine, how that's about my own addiction to my phone. And yeah, and Eric came up with the concepts for Tainted Blood and Stand and Fight. And that was me. It's from it just depends on where the lyrics came from. The lyrics for That Was Me came from John Shirley, and we both were drawn to that. And then the lyrics for Saint Cecilia came from Richard Meltzer, and Edge of the World it's a song about conspiracy buffs. So here you go. Gary Genesee wants to know if the harmonies are in Box of My Head are primarily Buck. Um, I think all of us are in there. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back to the session and listen to that. But Buck's mixed pretty hot, I guess. If that's what you're hearing the most. Is Saint Cecilia anyone in particular? Paul Haley wants to know. I believe Saint Cecilia is the patron saint of music, but I could be wrong. Um, Okay, I'm reading these questions because I'm taking my time with them, so I'm just trying to see what I answered already. Mike Brown, what was your favorite part of the recording? The moment when you just thought to yourself, "Holy crap, this is freaking good." Um, I think getting getting some of the mixes back from Tom was pretty cool because we were so close to it, and getting to hear someone else put their stamp on it was really awesome. I'm skipping forward a little bit. I apologize if I missed somebody. Fleedle says a few of the tunes are absent on iTunes. No, I bought the album from iTunes and I got every song. Check again, man. Maybe you bought it before it dropped. Jason Meinhardt was the EVH music man in the video of The Alchemist, a tribute or a coincidence for Eddie's passing. Um, oh, thank you, David. It was a coincidence because I I figured if the green was going to be an issue, like I know how to deal with the green. Luckily, I didn't have to mask it out; it just looked like a different color. But I said, let me play a black guitar in this video because I had we didn't really know what the videos were going to be until afterwards. So we just yeah, I just wanted to play a black guitar in that one, and also I love that guitar, so it was a coincidence. But I'm glad it was on the video since since Eddie passed because Eddie's a hero of mine. So I'm glad it worked out that way. I think I answered this a question already. Alfonso Bruno, my Italian origins. My Italian family is from Sicily. Helga Carlson, I came up with the intro to the machine. I basically mimicked one of the popular ringtones, but changed it just enough. So that's where it comes from a ringtone, the riff. Acoustic. I didn't play any acoustic on the record. Actually, no, I did. I played the acoustic in. My acoustic parts were piezo because I wanted that sort of Trevor Rabin-y sound on the stuff I played. Like in Secret Road, I played acoustic, and but it's like a direct acoustic because I didn't want the natural sound. We were going for an effect, and I believe that same thing is in the machine. But for the regular acoustic parts, those were all Boc, and I think he used one mic. I think it was mono, if I'm not mistaken. Jim Crouch said, Woody have part in the production? Yes, Woody was assisted when we were doing the main session. So yeah, Woody was involved. Sure. Keith Vidovich, who is the Florida man? We are all the Florida man. That's a terrible answer. Jamil wants to know any of the songs on your upcoming solo album material that was put aside or passed on from the recording of Symbol Remains. That's a great question. So I literally just started. I didn't think we were going to record an album, to be honest. So I said, all right, I got to record something. So I got to write something. So I wrote this whole solo album, which is 12 song sci-fi musical, right? It was very hard to write. Took a very long time. And just as I finished writing that, I heard that we have to write a BOC album. So I thought, I'm spent. You know what I mean? But actually, that's not the way songwriting works, at least for me. It works like a skill. The more you do it, the easier it is to do. So because the question is, did I have to like take any songs from my solo album to put on this? No. Those 12 songs are still exactly where I left them. I just stopped working on that for a while, put them aside, and we wrote new songs for this. And because I had gone through the process of just finishing these 12 songs for my solo album, it was a little, I'm not going to say easy, it was quicker because the brain was working that way. I was in the mode. You know what I mean? That's so I think it was actually as bummed as I was to have to put that aside, it was a big help because I just finished writing something else. And if you want to be able to write, you have to keep writing. It's the way like any other skill works. I don't know about any of how many copies were sold, Corey. I'm not really involved in that. Will Pizza Bagel Boogie be featured on a solo album? Roy asked. Not on the one I'm working on, but maybe I'll do an album with all the stream stuff that I never released. And again, I see a lot of questions about when we're going where. Right now, we got to just watch the BOC website for schedule updates because that's the best we could do. Let's see. All right, I answered these. Any weird tunings? Yeah, the only weird tuning it's not weird, is Stand and Fight is in drop D. I think that's it. I don't think we did any other strange tunings. Any release when the gent version will be released? Any news of when the gent version will be released? Yes, I think Stand and Fight is the closest we're going to get to gent. To answer your question, VJ. Let's see what else we got. John Spo says, "Is it true that you're getting the album cover tattooed on your chest?" No, but I've shaved it out in my chest hair. So when it grows in a little thicker, I'll let you see it, Spo. Just you, though. David Steichleather, what is my dad's favorite track on the album? Tainted Blood. That's my dad's favorite track. Todd Toms, BOC is known for their wet production. Was there a specific discussion on the use of reverb in the album? What were used? That again was on Tom Lord Algie's end. He has great reverbs, and we did go back and forth a few times about regarding wetness, and it's different for every song and for every part of every song. That's one of the things we did discuss, but we were never got into the weeds on what particular reverbs he was using. Let me answer another question from before. James Lepine wants to know any chance of collaborating with Boc in the future. Of course, I love collaborating with Boc, and he is gonna be on my solo album. He already recorded it and he killed it. So yes. All right, Jaffranukin says, "What is the creepy piano phrase that plays in The Alchemist about 30 seconds in?" All right, I think it's this. Okay, so that's just octaves, right? The chord thing is A minor. That's E minor with a G in the bass. F sharp 7. And then back to then back to that thing. So you might have been talking about the. That's all that is. It's E, F sharp, G, B, B flat, then a little blues thing, and then shit, A minor, E minor with a G in the bass, F sharp 7. There you go. I think I answered all these. I answered all those. Okay, set 711711 asks, in a band that already has 2 amazing lead singers, true, how does the opportunity come along to take on some weight? Are those my songs, or they were just pieces the band thought would be best for me? So I really wasn't planning on singing. I mean, felt I'd be lucky to have one song that I wrote on here. I was like, really, would have been cool. So I'm thrilled that I got to do more. But so, for example, like I wrote almost all the tunes I wrote were supposed to be for Eric to sing, and obviously he crushed The Alchemist. He crushed Edge of the World. You know what I mean? It's awesome. But Boc and Eric were very gracious with me because I'd be like, hey, I want one of you guys to sing this. And they would be like, you know what? You should sing something. Why don't you sing? So they were very, giving in that regard. And they said, you should do something. So they gave me the honor of being able to sing as much as I did. So, it was really their decision. In other words, I was never like, I want to sing this, I want to sing that, I want to sing this. They said, you know what, why don't you do this? And because basically they heard me sing the stuff on the demo. And I said, oh, here's my song. I'd like you to sing this, or I'd like you to sing this. And they said, well, it sounds pretty good as it is right now, so why don't you just do it? And again, big honor for me. So thank you to those guys for allowing me to do it. All right, let's see what we got here. With Gary Ireton, with all the time changes, etc., would you consider Boc to be a prog band? I mean, we can do it. We have tendencies, you know what I mean? Like, there are definitely proggy moments in the band's catalog. So I don't think it's a 100% prog band, but it's a genre that we can do and that we're comfortable with. But I don't think prog, but it's how about proggish tendencies? Does that sound good? Tony O'Rourke, when was the album actually finished? I think it was finished in the summer. I think. Yeah, early summer. Let's see. I can't answer any touring questions because, as you know, everything is sort of up in the air right now. The theremin on Stephen Dupuis wants to know, the theremin, where did it come from in Florida, man? That is a friend of the band's, Jeff Nolan. He did a great job. Miles, I think I just answered your question. Oh. Yes, not in Florida, man. It was Fight. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction. Right. It was Jeff Nolan and it was on Fight. Correct. Gary Genesee, who arranged the vocals on Box? That was all Boc. He arranged that. Tony O'Rourke, what difference did Tom make to the sound? Huge. It just, I feel spoiled, but because every album I've done, I've mixed. But having someone else mix is awesome. It's so cool. If you ever have the chance to get something mixed by someone great like Tom Loralgi, even if it's just one song, I suggest you do it because the thing is, when you're so attached to something, you almost are too close to it. You can't see how you can elevate it. Tom just elevated it. It's just like, and look, there was back and forth, but even before tweaks had to happen, it was still just great. So, yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome doing that, and Tom, to answer your question, Tom made a big difference. I mean, it's not like he changed the song radically. I mean, it was still our tones and our production, but he just made it work, and it made it just big. You know, he was awesome. Yeah, Jim, I'll keep this live stream up. Sure. Ricks, I think I answered that. I was trying to, about the Alchemist being adapted from the Alchemist from Lovecraft. Sorry. Yeah, that was just historically. I knew that Sandy Perlman was inspired by Lovecraft, so I decided to read some Lovecraft and see what all the fuss was about, and I really liked it actually. What is the hardest song? Michael Latisa wants to know what's the hardest BOC song to do live. Honestly, Reaper is hard. Reaper is a hard song to do. We're used to it because we've done it so much, but it's hard. It's especially for I have to practice this before we play again. That's really tricky, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of crazy things going on in that song, and we have to sing. That I'd say that's probably the hardest song to play. I gotta say. I mean, I know it's not a cool deep cut answer, but I think that's the truth. Can I give you the Todd wants to know about the carnival clowns in That Was Me. It was just something we kind of found and we thought it fit. It was something cool and just gave us the right feeling that we were going for. Gary Ireton, no, we basically didn't leave anything off of here. We recorded everything we set out to record. Christian Carlone, is Puppet Show and BOC Billboard a tribute to Spinal Tap? Yes, it is. Let's see. I'm skipping ahead a little bit. Fabry Bristow, I don't know when my solo album is expected to come out. Right now, we are doing some very boring work budgeting things, so we'll see. Phil Curran, how was it working with an alien heat, spirits burning, and Michael Moorcock? Did they influence you? Yeah, it was really great. I got to go to Albert's place and we wrote a song together, which was, I've never done that before. I never just because just went to somebody's house and said we're going to leave here with a song. That was an interesting experience, but we did it. Like we sat down there. Albert, as you know, is very prolific, so it was interesting to do it with him and just to watch how his brain works. It was very cool. Stratavanzo, who came up with the guitar intro on Tainted Blood. That was me. That was part of my demo, but it sounded very different. Boc played it and made it his own. He plays it a lot differently than I do, and he plays it cooler, to be honest. Will someone be playing theremin on my solo album? Steven wants to know. Probably not, but there's some wacky stuff on my solo album too. Excuse me. Skipping ahead a little bit. Oh, I think I just caught up. Yes, I'm caught up now. Chris Ross is asking about the solo break, and that was me. That was totally Eric's idea. Eric came up with it, and and really pushed. He pushed us to get weird, which was cool. Because I was just gonna go with something that stayed in that kind of rock vein. But Eric's like, let's totally flip the script here. And I remember he was sitting right there when he said it, and I was like, all right, should we do a solo here? He said, yeah, but make it effed up. So that's why we put it with like a fuzzed out sound, and I played some weird stuff, and we all end up getting really attached to that. Alexis wants to know, did Boc use any of my guitars in the record? He did. When we were in the studio recording together for Nightmare Epiphany, I believe, he played my Strat, and he sounded fantastic on it. Oh, thank you, Gerard. I appreciate it. I'd listen to that one again. It's been a while. Who is Lenny? I think you'd have to ask Zeke about that one. John Spo, do I stand or sit when playing guitar parts? I probably sit. Yeah, Dominic. I think I answered that question already, but I was sent lyrics from our manager and asked if I could do something with them, and that was basically the end of it. I've never actually met Richard Meltzer, but I would love to someday. No, Melanie, that is the Alchemist costume. It's not a Jedi costume that I bought in Disneyland in January when I was there with my cousin at the Black Spire Outfitters. That cost me $75. That's not that. It's an alchemist's robe from the times of alchemy. Okay, Melanie? Did I use a Variax? I think I did. I know I used it somewhere. I couldn't tell you. Offhand, but I used a lot of different things. I kept notes in the sessions of what I used. John Johnston, there's stuff going on right now with the movie, but I can't announce any of it yet. But things are happening, good things. No, Gwen, I haven't spoken about the Bad Penny single, but I think that's great. And I think it's awesome that they're charting, and I'm very happy for them. I'm very, very proud of them and very happy for them, and I hope it takes off. But we have the expert for the Alchemist here in Partev. Let me answer some more of the previous questions from people who couldn't make it today. Ray Chaos. I asked this already, but I'll expand this a little bit. How do Boc and I decide who plays what? You know, it's funny. Like all the tunes that I wrote them for Boc to play lead on. But he being as gracious as he is, you know, he said, "Look, you got to play a little bit on this," you know. And Eric said that too. Like you got to play a little bit on it, and they were very encouraging of me to participate in this as much as I could. So you know, again, very grateful. It was a big honor for me to be able to do as much as I did, and I honestly wasn't expecting to, but I'm really happy that it worked out the way it did. Let's see. Okay. So Baltunian wants to know how did it feel getting to record a BOC album after being with them over a decade? So you know what it felt like. You know when you go to like a vacation with your family and you're in a new setting, and it's fun to see like your sister or your dad in a different setting that you see them every day at home, but then you're on vacation. It's like, let's see how these people react to a new setting. You know, in 16 years, 15 years, we never got to record together. So getting to be in a recording studio with these guys, which my family pretty much, was awesome. It was totally different, but it just, you know, instead of doing replication, which is what we usually do, is like we replay, replicate. songs from the catalog. We were creating. Totally different mode. Totally cool just to also get insights onto how they work, because I have my own way of working and I never got to work with them, and just seeing, you know, how they like to do it, what their methods are, what their work ethic is. Eric was a freaking machine on this. Eric jumped right in and worked his ass off. I was super impressed. And Don just had all these amazing ideas, and just all this experience and stuff he learned. He would tell me that he learned from Martin Birch. Just like, how cool is that to get that information passed down to you? It was awesome. And of course, to have great musicians play songs that you wrote in Jules and Danny being the rhythm section. That's like, it's amazing. It's awesome. Let's see. Frank wants to know, do I think that the live version of Veteran of the Psychic Wars is the greatest guitar solo ever? It's up there. It's really good. Um, let's see. Daniel Griffith, will we ever see me play one of my Ricks live? The bass, maybe. I love that bass. The guitar, I got to change the pickups on it. The guitar, I have those stupid overwound pickups, and they sound like butt. Oh, but live with BOC? Probably not. Unless I get one that, with a proper scale. I don't know. We'd have to we'd have to have a song that would really call for it. Ken Mister, I don't know if this is the final album. Who knows? Who knows? I need a crystal ball to tell you the answer to that. Todd Silly, was the last chord in Box of My Head sounding like the last chord of Burn a Few planned or a coincidence? You'd have to ask Buck. I don't know probably a coincidence, but I'm not sure. Melanie, that's another Buck question. You'd have to ask him. I think he just liked the rhythmic qualities of it and how it sort of led into the song, if I'm not mistaken. Um, let me answer another question from someone who couldn't be here. Gene O'Neill wants to know. He says, "Kudos to the machine. It's become the biggest earworm on for me right now. My question is, how long did the jam go after the fade out? I was really getting into when the keyboard kicks and then it fades out. I'm begging for more. I think it screams to be played live. Thank you. There's a considerably long organ solo that gets faded out. But I understood why we had to fade it out because the song was getting really long. But yeah, I went on for quite a bit on the organ solo. But there you go. If we ever do it live, then we can go nuts on the fade out, or we can just extend it. Let's see. Daniel Griffith says you can shred on the 325. I can, but I don't know if I'd want to play a whole gig on it. Dominic, the writer of the lyrics to Train True is Zeke Roser. That is Don's son, or Buck's son. Sorry. Which of the song's lyrics do I like the most? Anzus wants to know. I think there's a lot of good spots here. I think Florida Man has fun lyrics. I like the Tainted Blood lyrics. I think they work really well. I like knowing what the machine is about. I like the machine lyrics. I know I wrote them. It's not cool to say that, but I'm proud of the way that came out. Also, that was me. It paints a great picture, and also in terms of how fun it is to sing them, I really like the lyrics of Saint Cecilia, like the way that it was just fun. It was fun to sing them. They're good singers' lyrics, if that makes sense. Miles, I answered this before, but I'll answer it again. Iron Maiden. I mean, I love Iron Maiden, and I guess it's Maiden-y. Yeah, sure. I guess it's part of the inspiration, but I was taking that idea from Harvest Moon because that's sort of what happens in the middle of Harvest Moon, and also that Buck told me he wanted to do some like really fun, mealy harmonies and trade-off stuff. So I came up with that. But the pull-off thing is maideny sounding, but that's something I also hear Buck do a lot of. So it's yes, yeah, I guess yes. Iron Maiden is one of the inspirations for that. Sure. All right. Todd Toms. Was there a moment during the recording of this album that you or the others said, "Wow, we're really onto something here. There's so much energy and inspiration in it." Yeah, I thought I just remember sitting here with Eric when we came up with the chorus to Tainted Blood, and we were both very excited about that. We were very happy with how that was coming out. And I remember like jamming Florida Man in the at the rehearsal, especially the like that whole like part. Like I remember like this is really good. This is gonna be a good tune. And yeah, like listening to the band play Saint Cecilia was fun. Just because it was like an all out rocker. Scott Finning, how much impact slash influence did your band geeks experience have on the production? And what was Andy's reaction when you asked him to participate? Okay, so that's a good question because I think that everything you do helps everything else you do. You know, it's I you know doing band geek stuff has taught me how to finish things quickly, and when you're on a deadline, that becomes very valuable. That kind of skill, and just being able to dial in sounds fast, get what you want, get what you're going fast. And I just remember, bye Michelle, nice seeing you. I just remember, and I'm gonna wrap this up soon. Um, I remember like when Buck and I were screen sharing, and he was watching me edit and mix and track. He was just like he was very impressed by how fast I was going, and that's from doing band geek stuff. You get used to working at a certain pace. Um, Andy was thrilled to play. Andy did a lot. Andy played on a lot of songs. I mean, we Andy plays Andy plays wonderful piano. So we basically had all the like most of the piano stuff was done by by Andy. He did a great job, and I'm thrilled that he got to be on it. Let me see if there is. Tom O'Hanlon would like to know, as I'm going to become a millionaire now and moving into the Playboy Mansion, how many drug dealers will I have on speed dial? Thank you, Tom, for elevating the level of this discourse. No, no drug dealers. Maybe the pizza guy. That's about it. Thanks, Tom. Uh, Wayne Grohlman. When I wrote Edge of the World, did I intend to sing it? Or once Eric sang it and knocked it out of the park, was it obvious? I always wanted Eric to sing that. I always wanted him to sing that. And I was thinking Like, I said this to him while we were recording. I said, like the voice you have on Summer of Love. I was like, that's kind of the mode that I want to go for here. That's what inspired me for to write the melody of this song with Summer of Love. So, it's interesting working for a band that has such a rich legacy, because then you can pull from elements as you need them, which I thought was cool. I think I'm going to wrap this up. Let's see. Tim Stewart, Band Geeks are amazing to take in the hardest covers in the album. Why don't we guys do more venues? So the Band Geeks are not really set up to do gigs. Like, we're not a bar band. We don't have a van with equipment that we can go. And the thing is, whenever we've gotten calls to do stuff like that, people sort of assume that we're like that kind of a band that just, can load everything into a van, show up, and play a gig for $100 a man. It's like we're not set up to do it. We're more like a national touring act would be. So that's why we haven't done much of that. But we do get asked quite a bit. It's just we sort of have priced ourselves out of doing it. Hey, Bully. Albert is fun to be around. I love doing stuff with Albert. Anytime we can, it's great. It's always great. Trelanis, have we heard Don's demos of Nightmare and Secret Road? Yes, and that's how we learned this. That's how we learned all the songs. Like, we made demos of everything. Eric and I recorded demos down here. Boc recorded demos at home. Jules had a demo of his song. Everything we did was off demos. We had all the songs in a cloud shared folder, and we'd learn them and come to rehearsal and try to make them our own. Miles McMillan, Edge of the World has contemporary lyrics to it. The line, "The second time I was abducted," always makes me smile, and it's very BOC. Boc said something similar. Boc, he laughed when he read "The second time I was abducted," and I think I wrote that to make him laugh. All right, guys. We're on 2 hours now, so I think I'm going to stop. But I want to thank everybody for coming, and I'll keep this up on YouTube if anyone wants to check it out. I appreciate all the questions. I know I missed a few, but I think I covered all the bases pretty much. And yeah, so I really appreciate everybody who got the album, The Symbol Remains, on 2 very cool formats here, or digital download. I have all 3. So please check it out if you haven't done so yet. And yeah, this was a fun thing to do, and I appreciate everybody's questions. And I appreciate everybody sharing the album and letting people know about it, and all the reviews and all the conversations going on. It's been great. It's awesome. I wasn't expecting anything like this, but it's so cool, and I thank you guys for it. And yeah, it was a lot of work, and I'm glad that we're getting to show it to people now, because we had to sit on this for a few months, and we were getting antsy, but it's here now. So thank you guys so much. I am going to sign off now. I hope everybody has a good day.